Big week for Trey in Charlotte. Gets the Defender of the Nation award. Then up for the Thorpe Award tomorrow, being a finalist. How would you describe the impact that he's made on the program?
I think Jesse, you look at it, what's neat is he graduates the end of next week, from the Air Force Academy. And, what's the best thing that he shares with others is his attitude. Like you say all the time, if there's, the two things that we always control, it's our energy and our attitude. And he's fantastic that way.
What has impressed you the most about what JMU has done in a short amount of time, transitioning from FCS and then the success that they've had at the FBS level already?
Yeah, are you saying in football, basketball, or yeah, yeah, right. They're, I don't think anybody's surprised. You go to that area, the school. If you were to pick 4.5 hours is Tidewater, Norfolk, Hampton, Newport News, D.C., Richmond, Pittsburgh, Philly, down to Charlotte. I mean, they're in a pretty prime location that way. And, kids love going to school there. And they're good. I truly didn't attend for this, but I remember back in, I think it probably would have been in like August. I remember thinking, you think of some of those schools like North Dakota State or Sam Houston, and definitely James Madison because of their location and the investment they've made in facilities. Instantly, I didn't know it was going to be. It was going to come to that, So, you just look at them. They're a veteran group, obviously extremely prolific offensively, and have played phenomenal defense. You look how stout they are up front, and yet how well they tackle in the open field too. I mean, they're 11-1, and they deserve to be number 24 in the country or wherever they are.
Coach, I know we talked to you on Sunday, just you guys going back to the Armed Forces Bowl, but do you want to touch on a little bit more just this being the last game for the graduating seniors and how special they are as a group?
Yeah, you bet. You look at, I think for anybody, when you go through the academy, just the rigor, the demands of the academy for what's required, what's balanced, in school, the maturity, the way you carry yourself, the way you represent the academy, but more than anything else, just the commitment you have to be a leader, to be an officer, for our country. And yet at the same time, how they're able to squeeze in a little bit of time to play competitive football. These guys are tremendous that way. I mean, their dedication, truly, just their passion to grow as a human being, but the commitment that they have to develop and become a better football player too. I mean, our guys know, the next 2.5 weeks, we have to elevate, each guy does. And I think they embrace that too.
And then as a DFW native, do you have a favorite part about Fort Worth? Anything you're kind of looking forward to see?
Oh, when my kids are there, that's where they both live. So it's, we certainly have our favorite restaurants, as we go down there. I don't want to get in trouble. Then I take away. No. If it starts with a Papa, P-A-P-P-A, that's all you got to type in, when you Google. And there are a couple others that follow, a couple letters afterwards. Those are pretty darn good.
JMU's defense, I believe they're giving up less than 70 rushing yards a game. What makes them so special up front?
Again, you look at they are thick. They bend. They're extremely very quick, very powerful, very explosive, outstanding linebackers, and they tackle quite well on the back end too. And wherever you think there might be a little crease or a little space, boom, it closes instantly. And and you look at they've faced a good number of different approaches in terms of style of play. And, the part that really stands out is they don't give up additional yards. When they do tackle, they tackle at the point and it stays at the point. And then, like I said, just the way they get guys even to the ground. It's rare somebody gets a ball out in the open field on them, but when they do, the way they're able to get them to the turf.
And on Sunday, you had a lot of respect for the Armed Forces Bowl. Why is that? What makes this bowl game so special to play in and to play in the state of Texas?
Well, it's amazing the commitment level of this bowl game to our service members and the various ways that they try to identify people that have been remarkable, but just generally speaking too, our men and women who serve, and it's absolutely awesome. It is. Brant is all in when it comes to helping our troops, and the community is too. And they're just fantastic. The purpose of this bowl, I think every bowl is a great bowl. I remember we had an AD here, Colonel John Clune, said, they're all really, really good bowls. That means you probably had a pretty solid season. And this one is, but also for the meaningful reasons too.
Going back to Trey Taylor, when the pro scouts inevitably reach out and ask about his skill set, what are you going to have to say about him, and how do you see him kind of fitting at the next level?
I think it probably depends a little bit team by team. The thing that he will do, he's fantastic at the identification part, which I think you have to be. Anytime you're a safety, you have to have a makeup, some intangibles when it comes to recognizing formations, being able to identify if there's one receiver, two receiver, three receivers on each side, what all that may entail. And so one, the football awareness, a very involved tackler, and yet somebody that understands leverage and coverage. Because for every coverage you play, you're always going to be, all right, I need to be on either one side or the other. You really don't ever do anything head up in a coverage. And if you understand that, then you probably realize where your help is. Your help may be the sideline, so you stay inside. Your help may be a middle safety, so get on the outside and funnel a guy to the middle. Or to be a middle safety in his own way. He's really good at the disguise part of it. I think back last year, we had an interception down there in the end zone in the last regular season game, down in San Diego. And he can be tight to the line of scrimmage and tackle. He can be tight to the line of scrimmage, boom, snag maybe an RPO and do something with it after he snags it. There are a few things skill-wise that he's able to do.
And in terms of health, is Zach Larrier back in practice? What do you see from him over the next?
Yeah, I believe he will be, and I think fairly soon. He really going through it health-wise. He will be back here real soon, like in the next 3 or 4 days. We'll have a better idea when we get to the Bull site with Dane Kinneman, Jalen Mergerson, and Jared Rosnos, where Zach ought to be back. Emmanuel Michelle will be full go. Who else? There's one other. And Cole Palmer ought to be back, who's been out for a little bit.
And Coach, just to ask a dumb question, your expectation would be that if Larrier is healthy, he will start.
We'll see. I think, he played solid football when he was in there, and, the deal. I think sometimes you can say a guy can play. It's okay for him to play, but I'm not going to play a guy unless he really, really can fully cut loose and go. That way there are no built-in explanations if things didn't go well. I think you owe that to the young man. And you owe it to your team for that to be the case, too.
What does it do for the depth of this team to have had some injuries and and gotten that experience on the field, big-time games? What does it do for the depth heading into the bowl game?
It's interesting you say that. I think maybe for the younger guys, there were a few younger guys. You think, Dylan Carson maybe to have a few more carries. John Booth should have played for a good chunk of the game in our last game. Those are two guys that come to mind a little bit, that may benefit from that down the road as much as anybody, I think.
It sounds like that Jordan McLeod is going to play their quarterback, 3,400 yards, 32 touchdown passes, 8 rushing touchdowns. How good is he? He's played at some pretty big schools as well in his career.
Yeah, he, boy, I'll tell you what, when you talk about a guy that can move well, not only as a runner, but in the way that when he feels pressure coming at him, the way he can see the pressure, but more importantly, be able to keep the vision down the field. And my goodness, a number of off-schedule plays. He's an outstanding football player, and I think he could probably about pick wherever he wanted to go next, because I think that's. I think he's he's one of those guys where whatever that may be down the road.
How much does getting ready for bowl games change for you with the transfer portal? I mean, you have a coaching change over there. You got a bunch of guys that say they're going to be in the transfer portal. That's not exclusive to them. How different is it now getting ready for, will he play? Is he going to coach? Is he going to play? Or has it changed at all in your preparations to get ready for these games?
Not for this game. If you're talking solely about this game, it doesn't. We expect each guy to play. We expect each coach to coach. And it's rare. I do think that really there are a lot of changes anyways, especially when it comes to the football part of it. I mean, somebody's not going to change their defense or, there might be a new play caller that says, all right, I'm going to throw it more, but you still got to use the same language and some of the protections are still going to line up. So, but I think this particular instance, we really don't. We expect to see their players and their coaches and their outstanding football team.
Coach, sorry if you've been asked this, but with the way your regular season ended, how much would you just like to see the seniors be able to be sent off with a win here at the bowl game?
Sure, you would. Absolutely, you would. As you would for, I think, any game that you play. But, you look, the number that are going to graduate next week, that's as many as we've ever had, that were December graduates, and you go to a bowl game and they're already a second lieutenant. I think that's really, that's special. It really is. I mean, you have somebody that's put in there full time, and if there's anywhere that really, really appreciates that more deeply, it's us at the Air Force Academy. Your teammates, your coaches, because a bunch of us went through it too, where you think this is pretty powerful. Now, they're going to get coached, and their teammates are going to say, let's go, but you know what? They want it that way too.
And I know a lot of these guys, specifically Zach Larry that's been injured, these are competitors. Do they have conversations with you? Like, even if they aren't, you said you wouldn't put anyone out there that's not 100%, but are they pushing you guys to say,
oh, yeah.
Coach, I can play?
Oh, goodness. I mean, the one you really think of is Kaz, our trainer. Kaz has heard it repeatedly for the last week and a half. Kaz, I got to go. And I love being around guys like that because it's that important to them.
Reports out of Louisiana the last 2 days had you as one of those who interviewed for the Tulane job. Is that accurate? And that job hasn't been filled. So kind of if it is accurate, where do things stand with that?
Yeah, I'm at Air Force. And that's the only thing I'm going to talk about is the Air Force Academy. And that's it.
And then also with Trey, if he were to win the Thorpe Award, I believe Chad Hennings is the only one who's won a major award at this program. What would an individual accolade like that on a national stage mean to the program?
Well, I mean, it is a neat honor, and I think of, and Troy would be able to help me a little bit, just the attributes that are involved in that, because it's not only the football productivity, but it's quality of a person, the maturity, the character part of it. There's a little more of a holistic part of it, that way. And, I don't, in all honesty, is it something that's a changer? No, it's not, to be practical and real. Does it bring some positive attention to our program? It absolutely, that doesn't hurt you a bit. If I'm in any home and you're a linebacker, I'm gonna make sure if she's a quarterback, and say, all right, I'm a running back and I want to win the Doak Walker. Well, hey, guess what? Now sure, you're gonna converse about that.
Okay, well, in terms of the layoff, obviously teams get beat up down the stretch. How does the advantage of having that rest and recovery versus maintaining kind of, being in sync, especially up front on the offensive line, as an offense, things like that. How do you kind of balance those two?
I try to always look, when are we playing? And probably in relation to finals as much as anything. Are we playing really, really close to finals, which we have done, I think only once. We played in Boise. That would have been in 2014. And it was right on the back end of finals. And you just said, we got to go. We're practicing. Now, I'll never, ever interfere with finals. We'll practice on a Saturday morning, and we won't practice. You will not practice again until you're done with your finals. And I don't think that's being overly protective. It's just those finals are 3.5 hours long, and they're hard. They're comprehensive for a semester that started back on like August 9th. I don't know of another school in the country where maybe you're taking 18 or 20 semester hours for a semester that lasts that long. Where in this case, it's a 23rd game, so we'll take a couple of days off. We'll practice next Wednesday night, next Thursday morning, and then we'll go. We'll go home for about 3 or 4 days, and then we'll head to the bowl game.
Okay, they will go home.
They will, yeah. We did it last year too. I think last year we played. I can't remember the exact date. It was about the 21st, 22nd, somewhere in there, and they went home for about 3 days, and we're going to do the same thing this trip too.
And Jesse mentioned the transfer portal a lot as it pertains to James Madison. Have you had anybody leave the program who's maybe seeing the field?
No. Now, we have guys that are in the transfer portal, so I'm candid about that. I mean, I think you could probably look at the portal and it might be Mason Carlin or Caleb Rillos, or if John Lee Eldridge. I mean, I'm just, you're just being full out there. Yeah, those guys could be in the.
Yeah, but your situation is different.
Yeah,
especially for the upperclassmen.
Yeah, if you're asking me, anybody in your two deep or as of right now that would not play in a bowl game, is that what you're asking? Yeah. No, sir. And
if their quarterback does not play, and you learn that,
he's playing. I'm just telling you, I'm not planning for anything else. And I shouldn't say that.
Well, how much do you know about the number 2, and how much have you had a chance?
We're going to. You're right. We have to, and we're going to. And there really hasn't been a whole lot of action, that way. You're right. We have to do that, and we will do that. But I can tell you where our primary sights are set.
Playing in Dallas in a bowl game, is it still special after all the trips you guys have made to Dallas? Like, does it still mean a lot to you?
Yeah, it means a lot for me, being my hometown, just to have a lot of family and friends come out. But I think we have a lot of teammates from there. I think it's special to play against a good team like James Madison. I think, we always want to end the season with a win, especially how we finished off the season. So.
When you committed to Air Force, would you have imagined so many games in the state of Texas and in the Metroplex?
No, I didn't think we were going to get that many. I mean, playing in Houston earlier this year was super cool to play another NFL stadium. I've played in Cowboy Stadium before. It's just super cool to go back home. There's just a different energy, having everyone there for you. So.
Just James Madison, what have you seen from them defensively? I know they're really good against the run, and talking about their secondary now, like what have you seen from that back half of that defense?
Yeah, they've got a lot of good players. They've had a really good season, finishing 12-1, I believe. So, we have a good task on our hands, and I think we're all looking forward to it. So.
How important is it to kind of end this season on a good note after losing your last 4 games?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, just to get confidence going into the next year. We never would have thought seeing ourselves losing 4 straight. So I think sending the seniors out on the right way, we have a lot. Is the best thing to do.
I think for you, like, also just kind of on principle, how badly you want the guys to be healthy, because you guys were 8-0 when everyone was healthy. So, like, I mean, on principle alone, how much do you just like? We got to finish this year 9-0 when we're fully healthy.
Yeah. Injuries happen. It happens to every team, at every level. So it's just one of those things that you have to deal with. It's unfortunate. And we have a lot of good players. We have a lot of good depth. I think winning, this game would be huge.
So what high school did you go to in DFW? Lake Dallas. Okay. All right. I'm from Houston, so okay. So I asked for this reason. So, you think about your time in high school. You talked about playing NRG earlier this year. For you, is it a little surreal to be coming back, your junior at Air Force, and you guys are at the bowl game? Is it a little surreal for you at all?
Yeah, it's awesome. I love going back home, and then being right in my hometown for the bowl games the last 3 years. It's just been it's crazy. We have a lot of players from the DFW, and then it's easy to fly into, and just seeing all the fans that come and travel, being in my hometown. It's a big deal for sure.
Coach had talked about Zach might be back 3-4 days. You see him around. How's he look to you?
Yeah, Zach looks good. He always keeps really good energy. He's big motivation for this team. I'm hoping he's back. He's a big leader for our team, and I think it'd be special to see him out there for his last game.
Brandon, can you tell us about Trey Taylor and what kind of teammate he is and what's it like kind of going up against him in practice?
Yeah, TT, he's awesome. He's a great player. He's up for a lot of awards. He won, Defender of the Nation. That's huge. So he is from the DFW area too, and he's also, he's that driving force on defense. And I lift with him, and he's like a big brother for me. Leading the way and going against him every day, it makes us all better. So he's awesome.
And obviously DFW is home, but you've kind of, I imagine, built a home here at Air Force. What has the football team kind of provided for you on that?
Yeah, it's just a home away from home. I mean, all of us are so close. All the things that we go through, it's just different than any other college. So, I can go to my guys for anything. So, yeah, it's a special place.
How many family and friends are you expecting?
I'll probably have 16 or 20. I have family from Houston. They'll drive up. I have a lot of family that'll fly into DFW. But, yeah, it should be fun.
You say Zach looks good. Have you already kind of seen him moving around, and has he been back on the practice field?
Yeah, he's out running around. I don't ask him too much. He's on his own timetable. We got plenty of time till the bowl game, and I'm sure he'll be ready to go.
And not to downgrade the guys behind him, but what kind of a confidence boost would that be, just to have the guy who ran the show for 8 games that you were familiar with and all of that?
Yeah, we have a lot of great players, behind. They played pretty well in the end of the season. But, Zach, he's a special player. He led us that 8-0 in the beginning of the year. He's a senior on this team. He's a captain. He's a leader. But just having him out there is a big confidence boost for everybody.
And looking big picture at the season, what would a win here, against a ranked team do to kind of, obviously, things went from 8-0 to 8-4. How would this right that ship?
It would just show that we're still a dominant team, that we let it slip at the end, but we're still the same 8-0 team that we were halfway through the season. So meeting a team like JMU who is ranked, that'd be a huge confidence boost going into next year.
Huge group of seniors, obviously. What's the biggest thing you've learned from this group?
There's so much to learn from them. Their work ethic is probably the biggest thing. I mean, all of them have been here for so long, taking the turn back and coming back. I mean, we have so much leadership, and I think that that's going to have to be replaced next year. And so just being able to, sit behind those guys like TT and so many of those guys, I think leadership will be a big thing going into next year.
How do you view the opportunity here, playing a ranked team, a chance to end on a high note, kind of in context with what else has happened this year?
Yeah, I mean, earlier in the season, we were kind of in the same boat as them, just kind of like I wouldn't say Cinderella stories, but just, teams that are having a lot of success. And then, we haven't ended our season the way we wanted to, and they've been continued being successful. So I think it'll be kind of a good narrative going into the game. These two teams, just kind of the same type of team, just in terms of the grand scheme of college football. And it's just, it's a great opportunity. I was super happy when we got the Armed Forces Bowl. They've been good to us. We've had good experiences there. I've had good experiences there. So it's a great opportunity for the team.
And how do you think it will change your perspective of the season? If you go back and look at a 9-4 season versus 8-5, especially given the 8-0 start, how do you think it will change the look of it?
I mean, winning a bowl game is an awesome thing to be able to go out and try to do. Looking back on the season, capping off the season with a victory is something that we've done in every year that I've played here, and it's a great feeling to end the season. So I mean, I think it's all the difference. It's all the difference. If we can win this game, it'll make something out of the season. Having a bowl victory, it's a big deal.
Obviously, JMU is pretty good offensively, but what have you seen from them, and especially their quarterback?
They're a great team. You can't argue with 11 wins going into bowl season. So, we know what kind of challenge we have ahead of us. And we know what kind of talent they bring to the table. So, just kind of going in with that respect, and we know the level of opponent that we're going to be playing. So, a ton of respect going into the game.
You played with Trey for 4 years now. What does Trey mean to this program, this team? He's up for one of the biggest awards in the country tomorrow night.
I mean, he just means everything. He's one of my best friends. He's just it's a privilege to be able to play with a guy like that. Just as a man and obviously as a player on the field, he's a phenomenal football player. I think everybody knows that. But just as a man and as a friend, it's just, it's such a privilege to be able to share the field and just share life with a guy like that.
So just kind of building off of what you just said, like you two have, I think you guys have more turnovers than a bakery right now. I mean, you guys have been just all over the ball this year. And I'm just curious, like communication on the field, how did you perfect that to where you two are always just around the ball forcing these turnovers?
I mean, it's in terms of communication, there's we've been doing it a long time together. We've both been in this program, in and around the program for 5 years now, since 2019. And it's just, it's having that communication and honestly just having that brotherhood. Like, every off season we're working out, we're working together. Just to, we have that we want to strive to do something greater. I think we've both had a great senior season, and him especially being up for the Jim Thorpe, and it's such an amazing thing just to be up for an award like that. So, like I said, it's just a privilege to play alongside a guy like that.
So, for you guys, is there, as Brandon was saying that, like injuries are part of the game and they happen, but when you guys are fully healthy, you were 8-0. And you might get, it looks like Zach's going to be back. You guys get some guys back. Like for you guys, how important is it for you to put that stamp on the season to know that when you guys were at full health, no one could beat you?
I mean, it's definitely one perspective that you can take on it. Honestly, we've had these conversations, and I've sat down and talked with Trey about this, and a lot of guys just, ask me like, what do you think went wrong? What do you think we could have done better? And just in terms of injury, that's just something every college football team goes through. Everybody in the country has injury. Nobody makes it through the whole season with no bumps and bruises. So I don't really look at it like that. The whole season's what matters to guys like us. I said earlier in the year, if you go 8-0, nobody really cares that you started 8-0. They care about what happens at the end. So just focus on this bowl game and coming out with a victory is that's what we got our sights set on. It's super important to us. And it'll be awesome to have guys like Zach back and having some guys that were banged up earlier in the season coming back. But I don't really look at that as the reason for anything that happened. The season turned out the way it turned out, and that's just kind of how it went. And everybody experiences injury.
That being said, what have you seen from Zach in the past couple days, weeks, and I guess how huge will it be to have a leader back in that role?
Yeah, it'll be great. Zach's another one of my really good friends, another guy who's been with the program for a really long time. He's a phenomenal player, and he's moving a lot better now. You see him doing a lot of lateral movement and stuff with his brace on and all that stuff, and he looks like he's moving really well. It'll be great, just for a senior like that to come back. And I know it's been really hard for him to sit and watch the team not be able to be out there. So it'll be huge for him, just as a man, to be able to exit the his final season out on the field. So it'll be huge for him and for us having a guy like that back at the helm.
Will you have some family and friends at the game in Dallas, and how much are you looking forward to just putting on a show for him one last time?
Yeah, I will have some friends and family. I have a couple guys who played here that are stationed out in Texas that are going to come to the game. And hopefully the weather will be a little bit better than last year, so people can come watch the game with a little more comfort. But yeah, I'm super excited to just for my family and to play one more time.
How weird is this going to be, the finality of it? Because so many of you will have graduated. So when you scatter from the bowl game, I assume you're not coming back here, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys. Really, the whole team, how it works for bowl games, especially ones that kind of come in the middle of winter break, will go back to wherever we're going. Graduates and people who are just going home, and then they'll fly out to the bowl site from wherever they are, and then they'll fly back to their home or their new duty station or whatever their plans are. So just in terms of scattering after the game, that's pretty standard for us. But definitely, this being the final show for the seniors, we're gonna have a chip on our shoulders. Everyone knows this is the last time we're gonna perform as a college football team together, and it means everything to us. So we'll go out there and give everything we got.
What's going to happen for you after the game? Are you training in hopes of more football? Are you going to start an assignment? Like, what happens?
Yeah, I'll be training. So we pursue what's called it's like a delay of commission for professional athletics. So I've pursued that. I think it's still in the works of getting approved and all that. But yeah, I'll be training and trying to give my shot at the next level.
Are you going to do that back at home? Are you going to come back and use these facilities?
I'll most likely be using these facilities, but it's such a great time. You never know what's going to happen. So open to anything, but that's the plan right now.
And to that end, getting things like the All Mountain West Award, Trey getting potentially the Thorpe Award. Like, how much do you think some individual accolades are going to help you guys in trying to break down these doors that have been so hard to get through?
I mean, individual accolades are really awesome, and we had 4 guys on the first team, a couple guys on the second team, and the honorable mention for Mountain West, and that was a huge honor. That's something that all these guys are super proud of. And then obviously Trey up for an award like that is just it's a huge accomplishment to even be in the running for something like that. But individual accolades, I think we're pretty good about. Everyone's trying to do their job for this team and create opportunities for the team to win. And individual accolades are something that comes with that, but I don't think that plays a huge role in what the product we put out on the field. Everyone's gonna try to do their job to the best of their ability, and I'm not sure individual accolades are a huge factor in that.
4 years for you playing under Coach Calhoun, and what have you enjoyed about it?
It's been an absolute privilege to play for Coach Calhoun. He's such an amazing man, and he sets such a great example for all these young men in this program, and including myself. It's an amazing honor to be able to play with him or play for him, and he's just such an amazing man. I think that's all I can say about him. It's an absolute privilege.
So I guess last question. So in your time here, this program's had a lot of success and has maintained a standard of consistent winning and excellence. What does it mean to you to enter the program that way and then to leave it and just to see you guys maintain this culture of excellence, not just on the field but off of it? What does that mean to you?
I mean, leaving a legacy of not only success but just like a caring environment and a family setting for these young guys, and all that stuff. Like, leaving a legacy is so important to us, and it's been so amazing to come into a program that's had this much success while you're here. It's just it'll be awesome to look back, and it'll be something that I can brag on 20 years down the road. Our success with this team and these men, it means everything to us, and it's so awesome that we've had all this success, and it's a legacy that we'll leave behind.